Guilty verdict. An Ottawa councillor found guilty of impaired driving. The East End councillor says he takes responsibility for his actions, but what does this mean for his political future? Good afternoon. This is CTV News at 5. I'm Stefan Keys. City Councillor Matthew Luloff has been found guilty of impaired driving. The judge said Luloff posed a danger to his own community when he drove home from Blues Fest drunk one summer night in 2024. Today finding him guilty of all charges against him. CTV's Katie Griffin was in court earlier today for the judge's ruling. And Katie, what more can you tell us about this?
Well, Stefan, Luloff handed over his driver's license after he was convicted and says his decision that night was a serious lapse in judgment. Luloff was found guilty of impaired driving and having a blood alcohol level that exceeded the legal limit 2 hours after ceasing to drive. The judge said he had no doubt it was Luloff driving that night and that he was impaired, citing what Luloff said to a breath technician after his arrest, details from a witness who called 911, and Luloff's extremely high blood alcohol levels as some of the evidence to support his finding. He also said Luloff posed a danger to his own community that night. Luloff made a brief statement outside of court after the verdict.
Today, the court rendered its decision. I accept this decision, and I accept responsibility for my actions, and that's all I have to say today. Thank you.
Luloff was sentenced to a 1-year driving ban. He'll have to pay a $3,500 fine plus a 30% victim fine surcharge. The city says Luloff remains a councillor, and in a post on social media, Luloff says he remains committed to serving the residents of Orleans, East Cumberland. The president of the local Mad Canada chapter says she's glad justice was served. Stefan.
Our CTV's Katie Griffin, thank you for this update.
Welcome.
New today, the Prime Minister not ruling out military engagement in the Middle East as the conflict between the U.S., Israel and Iran rages on. Other NATO countries could get involved, but what would it mean for Canada? CTV senior correspondent Judy Trin tries to find out.
As the war in Iran escalates, the Prime Minister has not ruled out military participation.
One can never categorically rule out participation. We will stand by our allies when it makes sense. There's a distinction between the offensive actions that were taken and are being taken by the United States and Israel, that were taken by them without consultation with Canada, with other allies.
For now, the Canadian Armed Forces is focused on keeping 200 members out of the line of fire.
We've been focused on the force protection of our people, which means dispersing and staying in locations if the force protection is acceptable. In some cases, relocating them to a different country in the region, or in some other cases, redeploying them to Canada.
So far, about 20 personnel have returned to Canada. The federal government has not yet requested help in extracting citizens from the danger zone, but the military says it is preparing contingency plans.
We are in the process of deploying 6 people as liaison officers to make sure that we're prepared should such a request come in, but we do not have any such request yet, nor have we moved major assets like ships or airplanes.
In Canada, there is support for toppling the Iranian regime, but both the U.S. and Israel began bombing without engaging the United Nations or its allies.
It should be up to Parliament itself to say yay or nay on whether or not we're ever going to be deploying our troops into a conflict.
The military is preparing for all possible outcomes, but at this moment, they have not been asked by the government to join Operation Epic Fury, nor have they been asked to help with civilian evacuations. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
The rising cost of groceries has many Canadians rethinking what makes it into their fridges and cupboards. A new survey suggests many households are cutting back or going into debt just to afford the most basic meals. CTV's Kimberly Fowler is here with more. Kimberly.
Well, Stefan, many Canadians are consciously making different choices at the grocery store to save money or to stretch their food to the limit. A recent survey from debt relief firm Spergel finds that over the past 6 months, just over 60% of respondents say they've skipped meals or reduced their portion sizes. More than half say they used credit cards, loans, or lines of credit to pay groceries. And 2 in 5 people say they've delayed paying a bill to buy groceries. Experts say the affordability crisis is leading to more Canadians going into debt and relying on credit to make everyday purchases.
I can't afford to pay the credit cards because the credit card interest rates are so high. We see a lot of times we go over the budget with them. It's sad to see that their food budget is limited, and we know they're not living on that.
Now, the survey also finds that financial strains is changing what items Canadians are buying. Many are purchasing less meats or proteins and cutting back on fruit and vegetables to stretch their budget. Now, while many of the people that I spoke today said that they haven't had to change their budgets drastically or they haven't had to skip a meal, but all of them said they have changed where and how they buy their groceries, all because the cost of living is going up. Steph.
All right, CTV's Kimberly Fowler reporting live for us. Thank you, Kimberly. The O Train Line 1 East extension has hit a major milestone. The line has achieved substantial completion, which is a crucial step toward eventually opening. This step confirms the builder, EWC, has delivered infrastructure that is functional and can be safely operated and maintained. Rideau Transit Maintenance now takes over maintenance of the extension that will run trains from Blair Station into Orleans. Substantial completion is the second of 5 steps before passengers can hop on and ride. The next step is trial running trains along the line. There's no date yet for when that will happen.
Now what is happening, though, is the spalling issue is sort of running into the East Extension. The fact that they're saying it still looks good for Q2 launch of the East Extension leads me to believe that we're going to hear some positive news about the availability of the trains, but that update will come next week.
There are 5 new stops along the 12-kilometer extension. OC Transpo interim boss Troy Charter told CTV News Wednesday the East Extension remains on track to open to passengers sometime between April and June.
It's a beginning. It's a start.
Coming up on CTV News at 5, an Ottawa man living with ALS approved for a first-of-its-kind Health Canada trial. And our Jackie Perez is in studio for us tonight. Jackie.
Well, thanks so much, Stefan. Clear skies for here in Ottawa, but just south of us, really along Lake Ontario, we see a weather system that is moving through that has prompted a freezing rain warning in effect, especially for the Kingston-Brockville area. Icy and slippery conditions anticipated between Thursday night tonight as of 7 p.m. into early tomorrow morning. Now, right now, temperatures across eastern Ontario sitting between -2, -4 degrees. Again, Kingston, Trenton, it's really around a freezing mark as well as 2 degrees. No rain or freezing rain in sight yet, but this will change by the time the evening rolls around. Meanwhile, overnight conditions, -9 is our overnight low with the risk of freezing drizzle. Tomorrow, the daytime high will be 5 degrees. We'll get a look at your long-term forecast in just a bit, but Renata, we'll take it to you in studio. Stefan.
Thanks, Jackie. Here's what you need to know. The National Gallery of Canada offers free admission Thursday nights from 5 until 8. There are art activities and tours. Check out the gallery's website for all those details. When it comes to traffic, this is a live check. Slow going in the westbound lanes of the Queensway from Parkdale to Woodruff. Eastbound slow from Riverside to Ennis. And if you're headed out to Orleans, eastbound on the 174, seeing some slowdowns between the Split and Jeanne d'Arc. There's also a crash on the 174 at Jeanne d'Arc you need to be on the lookout for. You're watching CTV News at 5. Now to an update on a story of perseverance that we first brought you nearly 2 years ago. An Ottawa man living with ALS has now been selected for a Health Canada approved trial. CTV News Ottawa first introduced you to Raymond St. Pierre after a promising breakthrough out of Western University in 2024. Discovered that targeting an interaction between 2 proteins present in ALS impacted cells can halt or even reverse the progression of the disease. Now, St. Pierre has been approved for a first-of-its-kind Health Canada trial, a medication that is being tested only in Ottawa and Montreal. He's one of the first patients in the country.
It's a beginning. It's a start. I'm hoping that it'll slow down the progression for sure, hopefully. If it can help out, fantastic. great. And we'll just have to see after a few months.
For St. Pierre, he's only a few weeks into the 6-month trial and doesn't know how it could all work out. He could even be on a placebo, something both patients and doctors are not notified of during trial periods. But for the 75-year-old, it gives him hope that he can make a difference in the lives of those living with this disease. Returning to one of our top stories, OC Transpo is edging closer to being able to open the O train Line 1 East extension to passengers. The line's infrastructure has been deemed functional and safe, but the extension still needs to meet several milestones before opening, including testing trains. Today's radio question of the day is asking, do you have faith in the LRT East extension?
Now that we have achieved substantial completion, we need the fleet availability in order to proceed to that next step of trial running. So availability is not back up to what we need to do that. And OC Transpo has indicated that there's going to be updates next week at Transit Commission. So I guess I'm hopeful that we're going to get an update on the availability of the train so that we can proceed to the next step, which is trial running.
Christy Cameron is here, and Christy, we've been on this for a long time. A lot of Eastenders hoping we can proceed to the next step, but as much as this is a win, there's no launch date, there's no time frame for when riders can use it.
Absolutely. I understand the excitement from Councillor Kitts and Councillor Tierney and anybody who's watching right now that lives in the East End of Ottawa, because this is a new chapter, right? It's a new era. Potentially soon, we don't know how soon, you could get on the train at Tunney's in the west and take it all the way to Trim in the east without getting on a bus. But as you say, there are a lot of hurdles to clear. The 21 days of testing, the safety audit. We can't even begin testing this line until we have enough train cars. OC Transpo has said we need 46 train cars for the testing phase. And Steph, we don't even have enough train cars right now to operate the Confederation line. We're running it under capacity because of the spalling issue discovered back in January. So, I mean, even if everything goes right, how can we, in good faith, open this East End extension? It's like, what are we hoping on here? We're operating on hope, right?
I wish in a prayer.
Yeah, hope is not a strategy, and that's why we have that 21 days of testing. It has to go well. We have to ace it.
Well, you talk to so many people who live in the East End in particular that really could benefit from this, and they're just saying, well, just tell me when I can ride it. Because as much as we're into a new chapter, the last chapter was so long, we don't know how long this one is going to read for.
And the thing about the 21 days of testing that's really important to remember is that 21 days is not 21 days, right? 21 days is if everything is flawless. You could be on day 19 or day 20 and a problem crops up. Boom, it goes back to zero. You start it all over again. Councillor Tim Tierney just joined me on the show. He was also asking a really interesting question, which is, how do we test with the passengers, right? You can't have passengers going all the way to Trim. So do you ask them to then get off at Blair? Do you have people that are telling them to get off the train? We can't cut corners, right?
No, definitely not. Thank you, Christy. And I rely on you to find that answer out for us.
All right, I'm on it.
You can join the conversation, leave a comment through the TalkBack feature on the iHeartRadio app. You can listen live to Christy Cameron on News Talk 580 CFRA weekdays from 2 to 6 and watch Christy on YouTube. Coming up on CTV News at 5, the old school way of receiving student report cards will be making a comeback at Ontario schools. Stay with us. Coming up tonight on CTV after the news, E-Talk starts at 7, George and Mandy's first marriage at 7:30, Next Level Chef at 8, followed by 911 Nashville and Grey's Anatomy. The National Capital Region will experience an early taste of spring as temperatures climb above 10 degrees on Saturday next week. With more, here's another check on the weather with Jackie Pear. So this Saturday, 10 degrees, and then next week, also double-digit territory, Jackie.
Absolutely, Stefan. That's right. So Environment Canada is calling for consecutive days of above seasonal temperatures. And if you combine that with the heavy rainfall that we are expecting for Saturday, it could melt away what's left of the snowbanks in and around Ottawa. So again, we did mention a little bit of that rain. No sign of that right now. Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam showcasing Spark Street. Again, you can see a little bit of that snow or that hard ice that will likely melt by by the time we roll around to Monday. It's about -4 right now, so keep in mind as the snow starts to melt during the daytime, in the evening it does tend to freeze over, so it could lead to slick, icy roads as well as sidewalks as well. So keep an eye on that for the evening especially. So this evening, -6 in the midnight hour. There is a risk of freezing drizzle. Overcast for tomorrow. The daytime high is about 5 degrees, and we did mention that freezing drizzle. We will likely not see that here for Ottawa, but for the evening, we are likely going to see in the overnight hours a little bit of that freezing rain. This is really focused around the Kingston area. It has prompted a freezing rain warning in effect from tonight into early tomorrow morning. It should likely clear by the time you head out the door, but keep an eye on these slick roads though early in the morning. -1 overnight for the Seaway, -10 for the Ottawa Valley. So it is a lot cooler as well, but it's getting to a daytime high of about 6 degrees. Now, in terms of the rain that we are anticipating for Saturday, this will also likely happen in the overnight hours and will extend periodically throughout the day for Saturday. All in all, the early radar is showing that we could see between 15 and 20 millimeters of rain by the time the end of Saturday rolls around. Now, taking a look at this, keep in mind we do have the St. Patrick's Day parade on Saturday, but I'm looking at those hours again, the early forecast showing that it is likely going to be cloudy around the noon hour, so you might be in the clear. Don't forget to change your clock forward into Sunday, where we're anticipating a daytime high of 7 degrees, but Monday, another double-digit day, 12 degrees, the daytime high.
Weather is brought to you by Manotick Tree, complete tree care from start to stump.
The Ottawa Home and Garden Show presented by RE/MAX is happening March 19th to 22nd at the EY Centre. And we want you to find everything you need to tackle your home and garden projects. We're giving you a chance to win tickets to the show, plus one lucky viewer will win the grand prize, a $2,500 gift card and VIP seating. Enter for your chance to win on our contest page at ctvottawa.ca. Wishing you the best of luck. So, Stefan, Saturday, 13 degrees is what we are anticipating. This is the good news. Not so great news. I did mention, I don't know if you heard it, the 15 to 20 millimeters of rain.
I heard it.
But, but fingers crossed that it will likely be dry by the time the St. Patrick's Day rolls around.
Fingers crossed indeed. Need the luck of the Irish on our side. Thank you, Jackie. Here's a look at the stories you're checking out right now on ctvnewsottawa.ca. If you're just joining us for the first time this week, CTV News at 6 has a special series called Ottawa's Worst Commute. If you've missed any of it, just go to our homepage right up top here above our breaking news banner, Worst Commute tab. It'll take you through some of the stories that we have covered, some of the longest commutes, the most challenging ones, according to you, our viewers. Thank you for all your submissions. Again, ctvnewsottawa.ca. Coming up for us here on CTV News at 5, back to school a little earlier than usual next September for thousands of Ottawa elementary and high school students. If you need gas tonight, one of today's cheapest gas prices can be found at the Esso and Circle K station on Baseline Road in Nepean. Regular gas there is going for 135.9 cents a litre. Another quick live check on traffic. Nicholas is flowing well in both directions. Things start to build after Nicholas, though, if you're headed westbound, picking up around Parkdale, between Parkdale and Woodruff, looking fairly busy at this time. You're watching CTV News at 5.
Get the latest live local breaking news. Sign up now for our morning and evening CTV News Ottawa newsletter. The best local content from CTV News, Your Morning Ottawa, and News Talk 580 CFRA. Get it all in one place. Sign up now at ctvnewsottawa.ca. The CTV News Ottawa newsletter is brought to you in part by CAA Business.
Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam, temperature -4. Time now for a look ahead to CTV News at 6. Here's Patricia Bull.
Thanks, Steph. Here's what we're working on for 6 o'clock.
I accept this decision, and I accept responsibility for my actions.
A judge has found East End Ottawa Councillor Matthew Luloff guilty of impaired driving after an incident during the summer of 2024.
So I got on the bus at 7:28 this morning instead of 7:07.
And you're half an hour late?
And I'm half an hour late for work.
As we continue with our worst commute stories this week, tonight we head east. Transit users say the shortage of buses and single car service is creating frustration and tight squeezes, especially at Blair Station.
They can't afford to pay the credit cards because the credit card interest rates are so high. We see a lot of times we go over the budget with them. It's sad to see that their food budget is limited.
Details on what a new survey has found on just what Canadians are doing to try and keep up with the rising cost of groceries. All of that and more is coming up tonight on CTV News at 6. That's right after the early edition of CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo at 5:30. Steph.
Thank you, Patricia. Now the final 5 other stories we're following. A memo from city staff says Algonquin College's decision to cut programs at its campuses in Ottawa and Pembroke could impact recruitment in several City of Ottawa departments. The Board of Governors at Algonquin College voted Monday to suspend 30 programs. The city said 9 of the program cancellations may impact recruitment efforts. The letter to councillors said eliminating or significantly reducing these programs will result in shrinking Ottawa's talent pipeline at a time when the city is primed for economic growth. Students at Ottawa's English Public School Board will be heading back to class before Labor Day next school year. The Ottawa Carleton District School Board plans to send elementary and high schoolers back after the summer break on Tuesday, September 1st. That's 6 days before Labor Day. The Ottawa Catholic School Board will do the same. The earlier start assures students spend enough days in class to meet provincial requirements. And the Ford government is bringing paper report cards back to Ontario public schools. The press secretary for Ontario Education Minister Paul Calandra says the ministry is working to once again make report cards available in a paper format. The province says the move is being made to families so they have access to their child's progress. Many Ontario schools send student report cards electronically by a dedicated portal or password-protected email. There is no timeline for when paper report cards will be made available. The Ottawa Citizen Building in the West End could eventually be replaced by 6 building developments. The city has received a draft plan to build 6 high-rises at the site on Baxter Road. It's located next to the IKEA building and across the highway from the future O-Train LRT station. At least 4 of the 6 towers would be 30 stories for a total of 1,400 units. The proposed design includes a multi-use pathway and public park.
Team with another chance to make it count on the player advantage. They've yet to do it this time. They do it now!
The Ottawa Charge hosted the Seattle Torrent at TD Place Arena last night. The game was delayed for more than half an hour for ice maintenance. The Charge ended up beating the Torrent 4-3. They play next on the road in New York against the Sirens on Sunday. That is CTV News at 5. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Stefan Keys.